Hi guys, this is Jamie Magrich coming to you from my craft table. I got a new camera for Christmas, so I'm trying it out today. I think it's not going to solve the issue of my videos being upside down. I haven't figured that part out yet, but let me scroll down and show you what we're going to do today. Please bear with me. This is new. Straight. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's get started. This is the card that we're going to do today. It's a pretty simple card. It's using minimal supplies. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to need is a scratch of Whisper White paper. We're going to need a piece of Whisper White, which is 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches. The card that I created, I used the stitch rectangle die, the second to the largest, but this particular one I'm going to do today, I'm trying to use minimal supplies. So this is 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches. This is a piece of Botanical Butterfly Designer Series paper. I'm going to use the black and white check. And this is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I have a piece of the thick Whisper White card base, which is 4.5, or scored at 4.5. It's 5.5 by 8. It's a standard A2 card base folded in half of a sheet of Whisper White. Okay, so those are those. I'm going to be using Melon Mambo ink, Mint Macaroon, Tuxedo Black. I have a couple of Stampin' Up markers. I have a Balmy Blue, a Granny Apple Green, and a Pacific Point. We're going to be using snips. You could use the framelits that you can purchase as a bundle. They're called Frosted Bouquet. I do have them. I did use them for the card, but today I'm just going to use snips. And we're going to use the First Frost clear amount stamp set. It's from the holiday catalog, and I'm going to be using this, I'm not sure you can see it, this rose, this wispy piece, and this piece here, and then the sentiment. Tombow glue, 1-dimensional. The dimensional is optional. I just like the little bit of dimension it adds to my card. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the rose and the Melon Mambo ink, and I'm going to stamp the rose twice on this scratch piece of paper. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. We can cut that out either with the matching framelits, or I'm going to cut it out by hand. And you just want to give yourself a little bit of a border around the edge using your snips. Doesn't have to be perfect. The nature of this stamp is it's not quite stamped. It looks like it's a 2-step stamp, and that it's not a perfect stamped image anyway, so just cut them out. Alright, I already have 2 cut out, so I'm not going to cut this other one out, just for the sake of time. Okay, now on this piece, which is 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches, oh, I almost forgot, we're going to need a mister as well. I'm going to take the sprig and the Mint Macaroon ink, side something on it, so let's use the other side. Okay, this long spriggy one. Let's see if I can zoom in a little. I forgot I can do that with this camera. Just a little. So you can see what I'm doing. Okay, and I'm going to ink this up with the mint macaroon. Or you can use your markers to color it. That works too. I'm going to stamp it over in this third here. Over here. Okay, perfect. All right. Then I'm going to take, we're done with the mint macaroon ink. Then I'm going to take the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to take this stamp here. I'm going to ink it up with the Memento, and this is a large block, so I'm going to do it this way. Just have better control then. Let's have to get ink all over where I don't want it. Okay, then I'm going to line up this bottom little branch with this bottom here. Not 100%, but, and I'm going to stamp this right over that previous. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to put this away for a minute. And I'm going to take this long block that this sprig is on. Don't even have to take the sprig off of it really, but I'm going to just because it makes it easier. And I'm going to take 3 of my markers. Just glue on there for some. Wipe it on my smock. Alright, so I'm going to take the lighter one of the blue, the balmy blue, and I'm going to scribble at on the block at the top, about third, maybe a little bit more. Doesn't have to be neat. And I'm going to take the Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to do it at the bottom. Leave a spot in the middle. And I'm going to take the darker blue, which is the Pacific Point, and I'm going to try not to touch the green, but just above the green, go up to the balmy blue. Okay, then off camera I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take my mister and I'm going to mist this about 5 times. I'll show you afterwards. I'm doing it off camera so I don't spritz my whole camera and everything. I hold it above it about 6 to 8 inches. And I spritz it till it's like that. And you see the water droplets on there. And I'm just going to stamp it down right over this stamped image that I already have here. I'm just going to place it down. And you can watch the ink absorb into the paper. Once it's absorbed into the paper, you can lift your block off. And this is just standard Stampin' Up paper. It's not watercolor paper. Okay, now this has to dry a little bit. So we're going to set it aside for a minute. And we might as well assemble this part of our card while we're waiting for that. This designer series paper is quite pretty. It's got it's the one with the butterflies. One side is all colorful. I don't know if you can see it. I'm zoomed out. One side, well, I guess I'll take it out. The bag. One side is all colorful. And the other side is black and white. This you can get for free if you spend $50 during celebration, which will start January 3rd. So for every $50 that you spend, you can buy one, get one thing for free from the Celebration catalog, and this is one of those options. And the other side is black and white. It's really pretty. There's a polka dot. I'm choosing to use the black and white little checks today. Okay, I'm going to use my Tombow. You can use a tape runner too, but Tombow's really versatile, so I choose to use it. And it's going to have about 1/8 of an inch border around the whole outside of the card, because it's 1/4 inch smaller than my card front itself, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, glue that down. Okay, this is dried enough so that I can go to the next step. I'm going to take my Memento ink and the sentiment. And this says, wishing you all the best. Just make sure you have it right side up. If you need to stamp it onto your paper to see which is right side up, that's what I usually do. Line it up somewhere. This one I think I'm going to do a little bit higher because I did the black flower a little bit over this way more. Okay, so stamp that. Perfect. Now if this was too wet, this would probably bleed, so this blurred just a little bit, but that's alright. Then we're going to take our flowers. We're going to put 2 of them on here. And I normally do 3s, but in this instance 3 was too much. And it is still a little damp, so. Okay, one of them I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of. I'm going to have them where I want them. Go ahead and stick this one down. This one I'm going to stick on with Tombow. Just need a little bit in the middle of it. Figure out how I want it on there. Slide it under this one. Stick it down. Alright, now we can adhere this to the front of our card. Just a little bit warped because we used the water on it, so make sure you use plenty of adhesive. And it is the Thin Whisper white. You could probably use the thicker. And this is going to have about 1/4 of an inch border all the way around it. Adhere that down. There you go, and there's our card for the day. Well, thank you so much for joining me at my craft table. I hope you have a great rest of your day.